to everyone guys, how are you all? My name is Agirish Sachin Bajaj and I am your teacher Bajaj classes. So today this is our 10th lecture on the mathematics chapter 1, that is real numbers. So what we are going to do today, we are going to do the irrational numbers. We will revisit, or you can say that take a recap of this irrational numbers. So what are irrational numbers? You can you know that any number which cannot be represented in the form of p by q, where q is not equals to 0, it's called irrational numbers. A number which cannot be represented in the form of p by q, where q is not equals to 0, as I said. So this is irrational numbers. We have also discussed about irrational numbers in the 9th class, that is their decimal expansion, which type of irrational numbers are there, terminating, non-terminating, that includes in decimal expansion. But we didn't learn that how to prove that any irrational number is irrational. So there is a method for proving that. Before learning that method, we have to learn the theorem 1.3. So what is theorem 1.1 and 1.2? That is 1.1 is Euclid division lemma and 1.2 is fundamental theorem of arithmetic. So theorem 1.3, we will take a view at theorem 1.3. So theorem 1.3, let p be a prime number. If p divides a square, then p divides a, where a is a positive integer. This is so simple that you can take that we have a number a square. A square is divisible by p. P is a positive number and a is also a positive integer. P is a prime number, prime number. We have taken p as a prime number. So if a square, this a square is divisible by p, then a will also be divisible by p. This is the theorem. This proves that if a square means we will take an example for this, that if 81, what is the factors of 81? We will conclude it out. 81, 3, 3, 2 and 2, 1, 6, 6, 21 and 21 in many times 7, 7, 3, 9, 3, 3 and 3, 1. So for now you can learn that, you have to learn that if p be a prime number, if p divides a square, then p divides a, where a is a positive integer. Now we'll do our example. The factors of 81 is 3 into 3 into 3 into 3, 3 raised to the power 4, 3 into 3 into 3 into 3. In this method we have to use it extensively. Now what are the factors of 9? 3 into 3, 3 into 3. So 3 into 3 equals to 9. Now what happens? We take this a square as 9, means if you take this 9 square, then it will be 81 obviously, and p will be our 3. So at the place of a square, you can take 81, and at the place of p you can take 3. So 3 is dividing 81, it will be 27. So 27 into 3 equals to 81. 23, 60, 60 plus 21, that is 81. So 81 is clearly divisible by 3, so it is remaining 3, means the question is 3. Now we will take a. So what is a square? Which square? 9 square. 9 square is equals to 81. Now we'll take only a. So a is 9. Now 9 and our p will be the same. So 9 divisible by 3. So it is 3. So simply we can conclude, or we can prove that if p square is divisible by a, if a square is divisible by p, then a will also be divisible by p. So this is the main concept of this. We can also prove it mathematically or algebraically, Now we will prove it algebraically. So the proof of this theorem 1.3 is proof. So what will be the proof? That we have a square. First of all we will take a only. So if we have a, so what are the factors of a? That is p1, p2, p1, p2, it should be pn. So we will take the numbers of factors of this a equals to pn. Now p1, p2, pn. Now we will do here a square of this, squaring a squaring. So a square equals to p1 square p2 square only pn square. So this will be our equation. Now it is clearly seen that if a square is divisible by p2, then there is the same factors. So this is clearly you can conclude that if these numbers means if a square is divisible by p, then p is also divisible by a. Oh sorry, a is also divisible by p. Now what will happen? We have proved this. Now we'll do the theorem 1.4. So what is theorem 1.4 asking with us? We have to prove under root 2 is rational. We know that under root 2 is irrational, but we have to prove it. So what will be the proof? I will tell you the proof of this. Now guys, what we are going to do? We are going to prove the theorem 1.4. What is theorem 1.4? It is prove. There is not any proof, just under root 2 is irrational. So we have to prove that under root 2 is really irrational. We know that, but we have to prove that. Now, solution, or you can say that proof. So what is a proof? First of all, you know that in 9th class you already read that about contradiction. So such thing which we take as another thing means if this is irrational, we will take it as irrational, means a false statement, which will help us to prove our statement, or you can say the theorem. So in this case, what we will take as contrary, we will take that under root 2 is rational. We will take the contrary that under root 2 is rational. So if we are taking that under root 2 is rational, so what happens? Under root 2 equals to a by b. We will take under root 2 equals to a by b. So what is a by b? We can here state that where a and b are co-primes. What are co-primes? Prime numbers, these both, which have not any common factor other than 1. So these two can be any number which don't have any common factor other than 1. Like you can say that 3 and 4, 1. You can add 4, like 7, 3 and 7. So that can be. So under root 2 equals to a by b. Now what happened? We will take this b, that side, left hand side. So it will be under root 2 b equals to a. So under root 2 b equals to a. Now we will squaring on both sides. Squaring on both sides. Squaring on both sides. So what happens? 2b square, because it is in the form of under root, so it will convert to 2. Under root 2, then it will convert to 2, and b single, so b square equals to a square. Now what happens? We will be tricky in this game. In this proving, we will be a little bit tricky. And what happens? Here it is stated that what are co-primes. The main term that we are using in this proving, that is what is co-primes. So we know that co-primes are two numbers or many numbers which don't have any other common factor other than 1. So that will be a co-prime. So here in this case we have a and b as co-prime. So now we will get a tricky method, and we will prove that if a and b, if we prove that there is a common factor other than 1 of a and b, then we will prove this contrary wrong. And if we prove the contrary wrong, then there is other option than rational, which is irrational. So our under root 2 will be irrational. So now what will happen? We will take this 2 here under, means in dividend it as the a square. So b square equals to a square by 2. Now Now you, by this thing, you can successfully get, if you remind that what is in theorem 1.3. What is in theorem 1.3? I have reading in this lecture only that what is theorem 1.3. It is a theorem which is stating that if a square, in this a square, if a square is divisible by p, here we have p equals to 2. If a square is divisible by p, then a will also be divisible by 2. Means a is also to be divisible by p. So we have proven that here it is a means interesting, or you can say the funny statement that by theorem 1.3. By theorem 1.3 we can conclude that a or you can say that just directly write down here 2. 2 is a factor of a. So by theorem 1.3 we prove that, because we have there a square and here 2 is p. So if a square is divisible by p 2, then a will also be divisible by 2. So p. So this is proven by theorem 1.3, and by proving this, actually this co-prime we can link it with two things, that if first of all we have this a and b, a and b, a and b. So what are the factors of a and b according to the contrary? We have to state that according to the contrary, according to the false statement, we have taken them co-primes, and according to that, what is the common factor of them? Common factor will be only 1. But now what happens? We will take next common factor, which is of this. So what happens? Now what is the value of, one more thing you have to remember, that you all know that if we want to divide a square by 2, means a by 2, then we have to prove that we have to also take a quotient by which if we multiply 2, then we will get this number. So we will take it as b square equals to 2c square. So this will be our now we have proven this statement that a is also divisible by 2. So we all know that we want a quotient by which if we multiply 2, then we get a. So we will directly write as a equals to 2c. C will be any positive integer. C will be any positive integer, and when we you can only state that C will be an integer. So if we multiply C into 2, then we will get A. So this is A equals to 2C. Now what happens? We will take this A value here. We will put this A value here at the place of A here. So we will write here 2B square equals to A square. So what is the value of A? 2C square. So 2B square equals to, here it will be 4C square. It is proven that 2b square equals to 4c square. Now what happens? We will get a tricky, and we will take this 2 at this side, 4c square by 2. Now what happens? Here it will be 2. So 2c square. So it will become b square equals to 2c square. And now what can we do? We will take this 2 here. So b square by 2 equals to c square. Now as always, theorem. Which theorem will be applied? You have to note those all things, because this is very important. This will always carry out a 5-mark question in your board exams. So theorem 1.3. So by theorem 1.3, if b square is divisible by 2, then it will also be divisible by b will also be divisible by 2. So now here at this side we have proven that there is a factor of a, that is 2. So here it will be writing also a sentence that b equals to 2c, or you can say the 2d, anything. So 2 and 2. So there is another common factor of this a and b, that is 2. So by this sentence gets wrong, that a and b are co-primes, because co-primes contain only one common factor, that is 1, and they remain nothing prime. Now by this thing, under root 2 is also wrong, that under root we have taken the wrong contrary, that under root 2 is rational, then the another thing is only irrational left. So our under root 2 will be irrational. So by this we can prove that how any irrational number, how can any irrational number be irrational. So by this method you can solve these types of questions. So in this lecture I have given you the main concept of irrational numbers, theorem 1.3 and theorem 1.4. So in the next lecture we are going to cover up the exercise 1.3 question answers. So NCERT questions. So this is all in this lecture. Please like, share, subscribe and comment. Thank you.